The voicemail came on a Tuesday. Mr. Harrison, this is Edward Fleming from Fleming & Associates. I'm handling your father's estate. We need to schedule the will reading. Please call me back at your earliest convenience. And please confirm, will your sister be attending with you? I listened to it twice. My sister. I'm an only child. I've been an only child for 34 years. My father, Robert Harrison, died of a heart attack 3 months ago. We weren't close. We hadn't been close for over a decade. But I knew his life. I knew his history. And I knew with absolute certainty that I had no sister. I called back immediately. Mr. Fleming's office, a receptionist answered. This is David Harrison. I got a message about my father's will reading. Oh yes, Mr. Harrison, hold please. A click. Elevator music. Then a man's voice. Smooth and professional. David, thank you for calling back. I know this is a difficult time. Mr. Fleming, there's a mistake in your message. You mentioned my sister. I don't have a sister. A pause. Not a short one. I see. Well, this is awkward. David, I think it's best if we discuss this in person. Can you come to my office Thursday at 2 p.m.? Just tell me now. I really can't do that over the phone. This is delicate. Did my father have another kid I don't know about? Another pause. Thursday at 2 p.m., David. I'll have everything ready for you. He hung up. I sat in my apartment, staring at my phone. My father had been a mechanical engineer, divorced from my mother when I was 7, remarried twice, no kids from either marriage. He lived alone for the last 15 years of his life in a small house outside the city. We spoke maybe 4 times a year, birthdays, holidays, obligation calls that lasted 6 minutes. I knew his life was small. I knew his circle was tight. A few old work friends, a neighbor who checked in on him. That was it. So who the hell was my sister? Fleming & Associates occupied the 3rd floor of a glass building downtown. The waiting room smelled like leather and old money. I arrived 15 minutes early, wearing the same suit I'd worn to my father's funeral. The receptionist smiled at me. Mr. Harrison, please have a seat. Mr. Fleming will be with you shortly. Saturday, I waited. I checked my phone. I Googled Robert Harrison's second family and found nothing. I Googled inheritance surprise sibling and fell into a rabbit hole of legal forums about contested wills and DNA tests. At 2:03 p.m., a woman walked into the waiting room. She was maybe 30, maybe 35. Brown hair pulled into a ponytail, jeans, and a sweater. She looked tired. She looked like she'd been crying recently. She walked up to the receptionist. I'm here for the Harrison estate reading, she said quietly. My blood went cold. The receptionist nodded. Of course. Please have a seat. Mr. Fleming will be right with you. The woman turned and saw me. Our eyes met. She froze. David, she said. I stood up slowly. Do I know you? I'm Claire. Claire who? Claire Harrison. My head started spinning. That's not possible. I know this is insane, she said, her voice shaking. I just found out 2 weeks ago. Mr. Fleming called me. I had no idea either. Found out what? Before she could answer, a door opened. Edward Fleming stepped out, late 50s, gray hair, expensive suit. He looked at both of us and sighed. David, Claire, thank you both for coming. Please, follow me. The conference room was cold and sterile. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the city. Fleming sat at the head of a long table. Claire and I sat across from each other, not speaking, not looking at each other. Fleming opened a folder. I want to start by saying that what I'm about to share with you is unusual. Your father left very specific instructions for how this meeting should proceed. He knew this would be difficult. He knew this would raise questions. Just get to it, I said. Fleming nodded. Your father's estate is valued at approximately $847,000. This includes his home, his savings, his retirement accounts, and a life insurance policy. In his will, he has divided this estate equally between his 2 children, David Harrison and Claire Harrison. I'm not his child, Claire said quietly. Fleming looked at her. According to the documents your father left, you are. What documents? I demanded. Fleming slid a file across the table to me. Inside was a birth certificate. Claire Marie Harrison, born March 14, 32 years ago. Father, Robert Harrison. Mother, Linda Vasquez. Who's Linda Vasquez? I asked. My mother, Claire said. She died 6 years ago. I stared at the birth certificate. It looked real. It looked official. This doesn't make sense, I said. My father never mentioned her. Never mentioned you. He didn't mention you either, Claire said, her voice barely above a whisper. Not to me. Fleming cleared his throat. Your father included a letter for both of you. He asked that I read it aloud before we proceed with the estate division. He pulled out an envelope, opened it, and began to read. David and Claire, if you're hearing this, I'm gone, and you've just met each other for the first time. I know you're confused. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. Claire, you grew up thinking I was just a friend of your mother's who helped out sometimes. David, you grew up thinking you were my only child. You were both right. in a way. And you were both lied to. I'm not going to explain everything in this letter. I don't have the words. And honestly, I don't deserve the chance to explain. What I will tell you is this. You are siblings. You share the same father, me. I made choices I'm not proud of. I hurt people. I hid things. I kept you apart because I was a coward. I told myself it was for the best, but it wasn't. It was for me. I'm leaving you both my estate because you both deserve it. Not because I was a good father, I wasn't, but because you exist. And that means something. I'm sorry, Robert. The room was silent. I felt numb. Claire was crying, quietly, wiping her eyes with the back of her hand. There's more, Fleming said. He pulled out another document. Your father also left instructions for me to provide you with a key. This key opens a storage unit downtown. He said everything you need to understand is inside. He slid a small key across the table. I don't want it, Claire said. I do, I said. I grabbed the key. The storage facility was 40 minutes outside the city, off a highway exit I'd never taken before. Claire followed me in her car. We didn't speak on the drive. We didn't even exchange numbers. We pulled into the parking lot at the same time. The facility was one of those sprawling complexes, rows and rows of garage-style units with orange doors and combination locks. Unit 237 was in the back corner. The key fit perfectly. I rolled up the door. Inside was a small room, maybe 10 feet by 10 feet. No furniture, just boxes, dozens of them, stacked floor to ceiling. Claire stepped inside behind me. What is all this? I opened the nearest box. Inside were letters, hundreds of them, all addressed to Linda in my father's handwriting. None of them were sent. They were drafts, confessions, apologies. Linda, I can't keep doing this. I can't keep lying to my son, but I can't tell him either. What do I say? How do I explain? I opened another box. Photographs. My father and a woman I didn't recognize. The woman was young, pretty, smiling. She was holding a baby. The back of the photo had a date, 32 years ago. That's my mom, Claire said, looking over my shoulder. And that's me. I opened another box. Documents, legal papers, a custody agreement, signed but never filed, child support payments, made in cash, logged in a spiral notebook, letters from Linda asking my father to be more involved, letters from my father saying he couldn't, saying it was too complicated, saying he was sorry. He was paying for you, I said. All these years. I didn't know, Claire whispered. My mom always said we were fine. She said we didn't need help. I kept digging. More letters, more photos, a birthday card for Claire's 5th birthday, never sent, a Christmas present receipt from when she was 10, a diary entry from my father, dated 15 years ago. I saw Claire today at the grocery store. She didn't recognize me. She's grown into a beautiful young woman. I wanted to talk to her. I wanted to tell her everything, but I couldn't. I'm too much of a coward. I've always been too much of a coward. I felt sick. He watched you, I said. He knew where you were. He kept track of you. Claire was crying again. Why didn't he just tell me? Because he's a coward, I said. He said it himself. We spent 2 hours in that storage unit, going through boxes, piecing together a life we never knew existed. My father had lived a double life. Not in the traditional sense. He wasn't sneaking around, having affairs. He was just split, divided, torn between 2 families he never let meet. At the bottom of the last box, I found a video camera. It was old, the kind that records onto mini DV tapes. There was a tape inside. Do you have a way to play this? I asked Claire. She shook her head. I'll figure it out, I said. It took me 3 days to find a place that could convert the mini DV tape to a digital file. I picked it up on a Sunday afternoon and watched it alone in my apartment. The video started with my father's face, much older than I remembered him, sitting in what looked like his living room. The timestamp on the screen said it was recorded 8 months before he died. He cleared his throat. David, Claire, if you're watching this, you've been to the storage unit. You've seen the letters, the photos. You know the truth now. I don't expect you to forgive me. I don't even expect you to understand, but I need to explain, even if it doesn't change anything. I met Linda when David was 6. I was still married to his mother, but we were falling apart. Linda was kind. She was funny. She made me feel like I mattered. We had an affair. It lasted a year, and then she got pregnant. I panicked. I told her I couldn't leave my family. I told her I couldn't be a father to another child when I was barely holding it together with David. She said she understood. She said she'd handle it alone, but I couldn't just walk away. I couldn't abandon her. So I helped. I gave her money. I checked in. I made sure she was okay, but I never told anyone. Not my wife, not David, not even my closest friends. When David's mother and I divorced, I thought about telling him. I thought about bringing Claire into his life, but by then it felt too late. Claire was 5. She had a life, a routine. She didn't know me. And David already resented me for the divorce. I didn't want to make it worse. So I kept hiding. I kept dividing myself. I'd visit Claire sometimes, pretending to be a friend of Linda's. I'd send money, I'd watch from a distance, and I'd hate myself for it. Linda found out she was sick 6 years ago. We talked before she died. She asked me to tell Claire the truth. I promised I would, but I didn't. I couldn't face her. I'm a coward. I've always been a coward. And now I'm dying, and I'm still too much of a coward to tell you this in person. David, you're my son. You always will be. But you're not my only child. Claire is your sister. She's smart. She's kind. She's everything I should have been proud of. But I never gave myself the chance to know her. Claire, I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I hid. I'm sorry your mother had to carry the weight of my cowardice. You deserved better. I don't know what happens now. Maybe you'll hate each other. Maybe you'll ignore each other. Maybe you'll never speak again after this. I wouldn't blame you, but maybe you'll find something in each other that I couldn't give either of you. Maybe you'll be the family I never let you be. I hope so. Goodbye. The video ended. I sat in silence for a long time. I texted Claire the next morning. I watched the tape. Can we meet? She replied an hour later. Where? We met at a coffee shop near the storage facility. Neutral ground. She was already there when I arrived, sitting in the corner with a cup of tea. I sat down across from her. I sent you the video file, I said. Did you watch it? She nodded 3 times. What do you think? She looked at me. Her eyes were red, but she wasn't crying. I think our father was selfish. I think he made choices that hurt a lot of people. I think he didn't deserve either of us. Yeah, I said. But I also think, she trailed off. I don't know. I think he was human. I think he was scared. I think he made one bad decision and then spent the rest of his life trying to manage it instead of fixing it. I nodded. I don't forgive him, she said. I don't think I ever will, but I understand him. Does that make sense? Yeah, I said. It does. We sat in silence for a while. The coffee shop was busy, people coming and going, laptops open, conversations overlapping, normal life. The kind of life we'd both been living while our father kept his secret. What do we do now? Claire asked. I don't know, I said. What do you want to do? I want to know you, she said quietly. I want to know my brother. Something in my chest tightened. I want that too. She smiled, just a little. This is so weird. It's insane, I agreed. I have a brother. I have a sister. We both laughed, nervous and uncomfortable, but it was a start. Over the next 3 months, Claire and I met regularly. Once a week at first, then twice, then almost every few days. We'd get coffee, go for walks, sit in parks, and talk for hours. We traded stories. She told me about growing up with Linda, about the small apartment they shared, about the way her mother worked 2 jobs to keep them afloat. She told me about the mysterious friend who would visit sometimes, who always brought gifts and asked how she was doing but never stayed long. I told her about growing up with my mother, about the divorce, about the distance between me and my father. I told her about the guilt I felt for not being closer to him, for not visiting more, for letting years slip by without a real conversation. We compared notes. We looked for patterns. We tried to understand the man who'd created us both and then spent his life keeping us apart. He was at my high school graduation, Claire said one afternoon. I didn't know it at the time, but my mom told me later. She said he sat in the back and left before the ceremony ended. He missed mine, I said. He said he had to work. Maybe he thought it was fair, Claire said. One for you, one for me. That's a terrible way to be a father. Yeah, we went through the storage unit together, sorting everything into piles. Letters we wanted to keep, photos we wanted to digitize, documents we needed for the estate. It was slow work, painful work, but it helped. It made the story feel real. One day, Claire found a letter addressed to both of us, tucked into a box we'd missed before. David and Claire, there's one more thing I need to tell you. Something I couldn't say on the video. Something I'm not sure I can even write. When Linda got sick, she made me promise to watch over Claire. She made me promise to tell her the truth when the time was right. I said I would. But I didn't just watch from a distance. I did something else. Something I justified to myself as necessary, but I know was wrong. I paid someone to check in on Claire, a private investigator. His name was Marcus Cho. I hired him to make sure she was okay, to report back to me on her life. I told myself it was for her safety. I told myself it was because I cared, but it was invasive. It was controlling. It was a violation of her privacy. I'm telling you this because if you ever meet Marcus, he might mention it, and I didn't want you to find out from him. I'm sorry, Claire. I'm sorry I couldn't just be honest. I'm sorry I couldn't just be your father. Robert, Claire's hands were shaking. He hired someone to follow me? He was paranoid, I said. He was trying to control things. That's not love, she said. That's surveillance. I know. She crumpled the letter and threw it across the room. I don't care that he's dead. I hate him. I didn't argue. 2 weeks later, I got a call from an unknown number. Is this David Harrison? Who's asking? My name is Marcus Cho. I'm a private investigator. I worked for your father. My stomach dropped. How did you get this number? Your father gave it to me years ago. He asked me to reach out to you after he passed. He had one more request. I don't want to hear it. Please, Marcus said. Just meet with me. 1 hour. I promise it'll make sense. I met him at a diner the next day. He was mid-50s, Asian, wearing a worn leather jacket and jeans. He looked tired. I'm not here to defend your father, he said as soon as I sat down. I'm here to give you the full picture. What's the full picture? Your father hired me 22 years ago to keep tabs on Claire. He wanted to make sure she was safe, that she wasn't in danger, that Linda was taking care of her. I know, I said. He told us in a letter. Marcus nodded. What he didn't tell you is that 3 years into the job, I found something that changed everything. What? Linda's boyfriend at the time was abusive, not physically, but emotionally, financially. He was manipulating her, draining her bank accounts, isolating her from friends. Your father found out through my reports. He anonymously paid for a lawyer for Linda. He helped her get a restraining order. He made sure she and Claire had a safe place to stay. I stared at him. Why didn't he just tell her? Why didn't he just help her directly? Because Linda hated him, Marcus said. She hated what he represented. The affair, the lies, the abandonment. If she'd known the help was coming from him, she would have refused it. So he did it anonymously. That's insane. It's complicated, Marcus said. Your father wasn't a good man, but he wasn't a monster either. He was just broken, and he tried to fix things in the only way he knew how. By lying? By hiding, Marcus corrected. There's a difference. He slid an envelope across the table. This is the last thing he asked me to give you. It's a list of every person he helped over the years. Anonymously, quietly, people who never knew it was him. I opened the envelope. Inside was a typed list. Names I didn't recognize. Descriptions of what my father had done. A single mother he'd paid rent for. A kid he'd sent to a summer camp. A neighbor he'd helped with legal fees. At the bottom of the list was one more name. David Harrison. Next to it, paid off student loans. $52,000. David never knew. I looked up at Marcus. What? Your student loans? Marcus said. The ones that disappeared 8 years ago. You thought it was a clerical error. It wasn't. Your father paid them off. He didn't want you to know. He just wanted you to be free. I felt like the floor was falling out from under me. Why? I whispered. Because he loved you, Marcus said. He just didn't know how to show it. I told Claire everything that night. We sat in her apartment. She'd invited me over for the first time, and I showed her the list. She read it in silence, her face unreadable. He helped all these people, she said finally. Yeah, but he couldn't just be honest with us. No, she set the list down on the coffee table. I don't know what to feel. Me neither. We sat in silence for a long time. Outside, the city hummed with traffic and life. Inside, it was just the two of us, trying to figure out what to do with a dead man's legacy. I've been thinking, Claire said, about the money, the estate. What about it? I don't need it, she said. I'm doing okay. I have a job. I have savings. I have a life. So do I said. So what do we do with it? I thought about the list, about all the people my father had helped in secret, about the way he'd spent his life trying to fix things without ever actually facing them. We help people, I said, anonymously, the way he did. Claire looked at me. You want to continue his weird guilt charity? I want to do something good with it, I said. Something he never got to see. She nodded slowly. Okay, let's do it. It took us 6 months to set everything up. We worked with a lawyer, not Fleming, someone new, to establish a private foundation, the Robert Harrison Foundation. We funded it with the entire estate, $847,000. The foundation's mission was simple, to provide anonymous financial assistance to people in crisis, single parents struggling with rent, kids who needed school supplies, people who couldn't afford medical bills. We didn't advertise it. We didn't publicize it. We just helped. Claire managed the day-to-day operations. I handled the legal and financial side. We met every week to review applications, to discuss who needed help, to figure out how to make the money stretch as far as possible. It felt right. It felt like something our father would have wanted. Or maybe it felt like something we wanted, and we were just using his money to do it. Either way, it worked. 1 year after my father's death, I wrote him a letter. I didn't mail it. There was nowhere to send it. I just wrote it and kept it in a drawer. Dad, I met your daughter, my sister. Her name is Claire, and she's incredible. She's smart and strong and kind, and I'm lucky to know her. I'm angry at you. I'll probably always be angry at you. You lied to me. You lied to her. You spent your whole life hiding instead of living. But I also understand you more than I want to. I understand the fear, the guilt, the way it's easier to control things from a distance than to face them head on. I don't forgive you. I don't think I ever will. But I'm trying to do something with what you left behind, something better than secrets. Claire and I are building something. Not a family exactly. We're not there yet, but something close, something real. I hope that's enough. David, 2 years after my father's death, Claire called me on a Saturday morning. I'm pregnant, she said. What? I'm pregnant. 12 weeks. I just found out for sure yesterday. Oh my God, I said. Congratulations. Thanks. She paused. I want to ask you something. Anything. Will you be the godfather? I felt something break open in my chest. Something warm and unexpected. Yes, I said. Absolutely yes. She laughed, and I could hear the relief in her voice. Good, because I need someone who's not going to screw this kid up the way we got screwed up. I'll do my best. That's all I'm asking. When the baby was born 6 months later, Claire named her Linda, after her mother, after the woman who'd raised her alone, who'd carried the weight of my father's choices, who'd never asked for help but deserved it anyway. I held Linda for the first time in the hospital, tiny and red-faced and perfect, and I thought about my father, about all the things he never got to see, about all the ways he'd failed and all the ways he'd tried to fix it, and I thought about Claire, about the sister I never knew I had, about the family we'd built from the wreckage of his secrets. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't what either of us would have chosen, but it was ours, and it was real, and maybe that was enough.